Welcome back, everyone. When thinking about life skills, reading and writing, to me, are two of the most important things that you can have. But it turns out that a recent survey of participants in the United States has shown that since 2017, the literacy rate has actually dropped from 1 in 5, which is about 20% literacy rate, to 30% of people that are currently illiterate or struggling in the lowest level of literacy within the United States. I guess there's a lot of reasons why this might be happening for children, especially during COVID. I think that a lot of students spent a lot of time learning online and watching video educational content rather than writing diligently, maybe like what we did when we were at school, reading. And that is contributing to a lower literacy rate, but it's also affecting adults too. Again, maybe because of video content. I think that for personal experience, if I don't go out of my way to read, there's not as many opportunities to read something as there were when I was much younger. And yes, this survey seems to have highlighted a fact that a lot of people are struggling to read these days. And if you think about older generations, I guess a lot of information that they used to absorb through reading and writing, those streams have gone. And so if they're not keeping up to date with their reading skills because maybe they're watching TV more or just not reading the newspaper or reading articles online anymore, like the Pagoda articles that you guys read, it can be really difficult to maintain your literacy rate, I think. And so maybe another case is that people who didn't engage a lot at school, maybe they were problematic or maybe they had attention deficit disorders. Whilst they were at school, they fell behind. And maybe if you think about the education system, if life were perfect, maybe it would be better to keep students behind and make them repeat a year if they were failing quite in like a large way, like their scores were really bad because they hadn't engaged in second grade or fourth grade, keeping them again to repeat that grade again. But in most cases, oftentimes everyone just goes up to a grade level that they're not quite prepared for. And so if they haven't absorbed the information from the prior grade, it can be very difficult to get up to speed and to catch up with the current content that they are learning. And unfortunately, that can cause them to miss the boat for the rest of their life. They will always be behind someone else who is of a similar age or a similar education status as them.
And it creates this vicious cycle because if they grow up and they're not very good at reading, and that affects many job opportunities that they get, then they're living in poverty, then the children of those people, like they're also in that same boat. And it just keeps repeating, or it gets worse and worse down the line.
Yes.
It might go from 30% to 40%, we don't know.
And as you said in the preview too, a lot of people, maybe the people that you mentioned, they have a hard time understanding information that is coming to them. So I think we absorb a lot of information. As you said, maybe if you buy IKEA furniture, you have to understand the instructions to put it together. Or, as you said, applying for a job, filling in a resume requires reading and writing skills. And if you don't have those skills, as you said, you can live in poverty for the rest of your life, and it can affect future generations. And then also government funding too. If there's not enough government funding for schools, it might not be isolated students that have that problem. It could be an entire town of children, or even like a district of a city. That particular population of students could be, yes, unfortunate for the rest of their lives if they are not taught how to read and write properly from an early age. It's really upsetting, I think. I cannot.
Sad.
Yes, I can't imagine my life not being able to absorb information, even though I feel like I don't read as often as I did as a child. I cannot imagine what my childhood would have been like if I didn't have the ability to read.
Right.
I really enjoyed reading novels like Harry Potter, like Lord of the Rings, that kind of thing. That was an essential part of my childhood and growing up, and it makes me sad to think that there are young children that aren't able to enjoy reading.
Yeah, well, with all the short form content videos, I think the way that they're absorbing information is vastly different than when they read. And maybe to them it's like, why would I spend time reading when I can just hear it or see it?
I'm definitely part of that problem too. Even though I haven't physically read a lot of books this year, I listen to audiobooks on 2 times speed to fit my busy lifestyle. And again, I think that's a different mental skill, is listening.
Right. Listening, yeah.
But unfortunately, my reading skills, maybe I should pick up a novel soon. So thinking about listening and literacy and writing, are there any other mental skills that you think are really important?
Critical thinking skills. That and being creative. I think they go hand in hand. Sometimes what I find, let's say when I'm teaching a lot of students that haven't thought with critical thinking skills, they just input, output. What you show me, I will show it back to you. But then they're not able to solve things by themselves in creative ways. If you don't have the tools, then can you make tools? Can you find a different way? Is there a different approach? Or can you go another route and get the same solution? I think that's something that I learned when I was doing nursing school. They taught us critical thinking skills. If you have this and this and this, they're just, different symptoms. They're not standalone. They might have some connection, so you have to think, how are they related? So critical thinking skills in life are really important for solving a number of things. What do you think?
I think as a human, every part of your mental ability is important, but thinking as a teacher and watching my students, I think similar to you, but inference skills,
right.
like making inferences. I think not only in an academic sense, but also emotional and like a personal skill to have. If you cannot infer, why does that person look a bit tired today? Should I do something about that? My friend is stressed, or my friend doesn't look happy. Making an inference like that is super important. And also I think that on the academic side, making inferences is how you learn. Like giving information and then your brain says, maybe that's why this happens.
Yeah, finding patterns
yes,
too.
Finding a pattern and then like following that train of thought, I think is very important. And I think a lot of that comes from reading, because it develops a sense of creativity in you to kind of push that inference further. So thinking about America, we already know what's happening. From your experience, what was the literacy skill for Americans? Did you experience that kind of 20% illiteracy rate? Or?
I mean, from what I remember, I think I was reading at my level, or when I was much younger, I had an older sister, so I would read her books that were 2 grades above. So at that time, I was reading with flying colors. But at some point, it just evened out. And then I was at my age range level where I should be. But it was wild to me to be in high school, and when the teacher would ask each student to read a passage, and I would get very frustrated when it would get to a few students who were having a very difficult time reading very basic sentences. But I couldn't understand, why can't you? You can speak English well. We have conversations. Why can't you read? But it's something that, it's like any other skill. You need to practice it, hone in on that skill and improve it. And they obviously never put in the time, or they had something that kept them from, becoming better. How about in the UK?
I'm smiling because I had that exact conversation with my students. I can very clearly tell when they haven't read a book, and as an educator, as a teacher, I get very frustrated. But also I remember my time at school, and I think back to my English lessons. My English teacher was not the best. If I think about my senior years of high school, my English teacher wasn't the best, and so her classes weren't very engaging. And I distinctly remember we were reading Old Man and the Sea, which might be the most boring book that has ever been written, in my opinion. And I remember that being like a turning point for me, thinking, books are boring.
Oh no.
But it was her delivery. And I try to keep that in mind now as a teacher when I'm teaching. I try to make things as fun as possible, because I look at my younger students and I think, wow, you have a really great opportunity that I never had to become fluent in a second language.
So you have a great opportunity because you have me as your teacher.
Well, that's true. That's true. But specifically to learn a second language when they are young, and I think maybe because, especially in Korea, their peers all around them also have that same opportunity. They don't realize how special it is. So I really try to emphasize the fact that literacy skills are so important.
Right.
Even if they don't want to and they want to play Roblox or Minecraft, I'm like, put the phone down, please pick up a book.
We can show them this article and be like, see, you don't want to be like America. 30%, 30%? No, you don't want to be like that.
I always take them down to the library. I'm like, borrow a book.
Yeah, take a
Pick
book.
one. Pick one. We hope that you enjoyed today's article and that you are now thankful for your literacy skills a little bit more than you were prior. Remember that there are some vocabulary words that we hope that you can add to your vernacular and improve your literacy rate, and we will see you in your next video. Bye.
Literacy.
Literacy.
Vicious cycle.
Vicious cycle.
Engagement.
Engagement.
Miss the boat.
Miss the boat.
Get up to speed.
Get up to speed.